Hello, everyone, and welcome to the penultimate episode of our little experiment where we created an organic and ever-growing and changing top 10 video game list, and that will culminate in our end-of-the-year top 10 list for video games of 2014. If you've just joined us, if this is your first video of this is basically where we chronicled as the year went on games that we would want to add to our top 10 list. So in the early months, you didn't have 10, you just had games, and then as you got to 10, any game that you wanted to add to the list, you'd have to drop a previous game. So to give an example of previous games that have been dropped from the list because of newer games, stuff like Kirby Triple Dream Deluxe.
That's 3DS.
Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah. On 3DS, Strider, the downloadable game. Chris recently dropped Banished, an indie game that came out back in January. I've dropped Titanfall. So lots of things have been added and dropped, and it's been really fun to see how a top 10 list grows and changes over a year.
Because it seems like for a lot of game journalists, it's kind of like they're just like, shit, what I played this year? Grand Theft Auto. Everyone likes Grand Theft Auto.
It always seems to be the majority are the November games, and with good reason. Those are like where the big ones come out. But it's easy to forget the games that came out back in January and February. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's what we've been doing, and this is the big one because this is November. Pretty much all the games are now out. So unless we play stuff in between now and our December list, this is not in any particular order yet. This is now just pretty much in release order. And then in our final show next month, we will create our top 10 list. And you will have seen how it grew from start to finish. Mm-hmm. But that said, a lot of changes and mix-ups this month. A lot of games got added. So yeah, let's just start right in. As always, we're going to recap the games that we had last time. And then we will talk about the games that have been added into the list. Mm-hmm. So we've run out of things to say about this, so because a lot of these we've talked about a lot. First up is Bravely Default, 3DS RPG, phenomenal classic Final Fantasy style RPG with a deep job class. Very controversial second half, so that's probably keeping it from a lot of people's list. But for us, it was very enjoyable.
You should get it if you have a 3DS and if you like Final Fantasy.
Exactly, if you're an RPG fan, and if Chris is oh, by the way, I'm Matthew.
I'm Chris.
And we're the NOLAnerds. Should probably have thrown that out at the beginning. Anyway, Infamous Second Son, and by extension, the First Light DLC that came out in June, pretty much cementing its spot in our list because the two are taken together. Yeah,
Infamous felt like the first real next gen game.
It did, and
just graphically,
and I love the new powers. I'm not sure if I enjoyed them more than Ice. But man, smoke and video were a lot of fun, and running with Neon never got old.
Yeah.
And they expanded upon that nicely in the First Light DLC. So Infamous Second Son for the PS4. Next up, I have South Park Stick of Truth for PS3/360/PC. We've said it before. We'll say it again. Well, I will. Chris is not a fan of the show. Your mileage will vary based on your love of the subject matter, but this is one of the best licensed games in general. Next up, Chris has Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. One of my friends watched our video, and he gave you crap for saying it's a great value.
Oh.
But,
It is.
For
$30, it's really good for what it's got.
Look past the fact that you can burn through the game in 2 hours. If you start branching out to all the other stuff, there's a lot of content in that. I understand the detractors. But now, if they charge $60,
$60, fuck off.
Right, but
right off.
Again, your love will vary based on your love of Metal Gear, and which is ironic because you never played a Metal Gear game really. Like that is not your jam. We watched the video detailing the movie and story of Peace Walker, and then just jumped right in.
Yep,
so
that's all you need.
I'm happy for you because I love Metal Gear, and to see you jump on it makes me happy.
Very excited for 5.
Next up, Transistor for me for PlayStation 4. Probably, this was the first game that I played that I knew right off the bat nothing would bump this game off. This was a lock for the top 10. Mm-hmm. It's one of the best indie games I've played and just one of the best games of the year. If you have a PlayStation 4 or a PC, do yourself a favor and download this game. Mm-hmm. Next up, Watch Dogs.
Actually, I forgot to tell you this earlier. I'm taking Watch Dogs off my list.
Okay. 4?
Legend of Korra.
No, Legend of Korra is already on the list.
All right, never mind then.
Yeah.
Screw it. Okay, I got it.
So basically, we now know what's next on the chopping block for you.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have anything else to add.
If I get a chance to play anything else this year.
But until then, for me and Chris, Watch Dogs, Ubisoft's gotten a lot of crap this year for overpromising and under-delivering. Their release of Assassin's Creed Unity was a buggy mess. They delayed, but you know what? We'll talk about one of their other games that kind of bucked that trend. But Watch Dogs, I found, while not nearly as great as they originally hyped, I thoroughly enjoyed it and actually played it all the way to Platinum Trophy status. So clearly there was a lot there to enjoy. If you like open world games, check it out. After that, Chris has Valiant Hearts.
Valiant Hearts is a great little puzzle game set in World War I, which is a story setting not usually seen in most video games. I think it's fairly short, but the stories are very good. The puzzles are not overly difficult, but I think it's still a ton of fun and something that should be played.
Can I point out how much I love the fact that your default outfit for these videos is a white t-shirt? You just cannot be bothered to wear a shirt.
I'm busy.
A shirt. Just any shirt.
I'm busy, and we do these at night.
God. Yeah. Wear a shirt.
No. Day's over.
Ah. I miss the days when you lived here, so I could just make you go in your room and put on a shirt.
I actually like the fact that I don't live here, so I can show up like this, and you can't be mad.
I'm going to start making you wear my shirt, and then it's going to be really tight, and it's going to be like fat guy in little coat.
I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
And just ruin your shirt.
I'm going to make you wear button-downs and not button them up, so you can't do that. Anyway, next up, we both have Destiny. Another game I got crap from because my friend was not a big fan of the game. And you know what? This is probably, in terms of Watch Dogs was one of them, but in terms of the massive success versus the amount of controversy the game had, Destiny's probably top. But man, is this game addictive. And the changes they keep adding, they just added another patch today that makes it much easier to upgrade your exotics items by being able to trade your marks in for the materials to upgrade.
I think Destiny is a game that suffers from flare out, where everyone was very intensely involved for about 3 weeks.
3
weeks to a month.
Yeah.
And then they were kind of done. And then
see, that's what you'd think, but they keep releasing the numbers, like 2-point-something million players a day playing on average 3 hours a day. I keep jumping on to play the raid with friends, and then we're 2 weeks out from the first major expansion.
Yeah, I haven't been back online in a couple of weeks.
Well, see, the thing about Destiny is if you're not playing with friends, it's just not worth it. So it really, a couple games, it's like World of Warcraft for shooters, in the sense that like people drift away, and then the new one comes out. The expansion comes out and everyone jumps back in. Yeah. So we'll see how December treats it. But yeah, Destiny's on the list.
Absolutely.
Followed by Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, which was the best surprise of the year. Because if you listen to our monthly video game show on iTunes, you've heard us talk about leading up to September how we just did not expect much from this game, except our one friend who's a huge proponent of it. And then it came out and we're like, blown away. It's the best Assassin's Creed game to come out this year.
Fact. Which
is ironic, considering that Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed Unity, and Assassin's Creed Rogue all came out this year, and then Shadow of Mordor is the best one of that genre. And then you mix in, it's like the perfect combination. It's like peanut butter and chocolate. You mix in the Assassin's Creed formula with the Batman Arkham City battle system. And then wrap it all up in a Lord of the Rings shell, and it's just a delightful game from start to finish. Yeah. Another game I played all the way to Platinum because I loved it that much.
It's a big surprise.
Yeah, did not expect that. And finally, Chris last month added the Legend of Korra game by Platinum Games, downloadable on PlayStation 4 and any system you want.
It's not a 5-star masterpiece, but for what they've done with Avatar, which has had such a troubled history for its it should be like the easiest concept in the world to make a game out of, but it's not. It's a little more difficult than that, and I think that this game is probably the closest we're ever going to get to getting.
Which is a shame, and it unfortunately did get rushed because of the surprise announcement of when the final season was airing.
Yeah, and it kind of felt rushed. The enemy types aren't as varied as I'd like.
But all right, the way I like to put it is it's a 6.5 game.
Yeah.
Add a full point if you're a fan of the show.
Absolutely.
So then it goes to 7.5 game, and it's a game that's not going to blow you away, but you'll enjoy it.
Your mileage will vary depending on it.
And for
how much
you quite enjoyed it.
I like Korra a lot, so.
So that wraps up the games that survived the cut from previous months. Now we're going to talk about the games that have been removed. Now we both have. I have 3 games swapping out, and you have 2.
Okay.
So I'll go, you go, I'll go, you go, I'll go. Okay.
Perfect.
So I hate to do it, but Child of Light is being taken off my list. It was an Ubisoft puzzle RPG game with a Grandia-inspired battle system and a beautiful art design, but it couldn't compete with this new game coming out, Sunset Overdrive by Insomniac Games. Hands down my vote for best Xbox game of the year since Titanfall didn't make the cut for me. And even Titanfall's on PC and Xbox 360. Sunset Overdrive is the only game that can only be found on Xbox One. And it's such a good case to buy the system. If I love Ratchet and Clank, and it's got the inventive weaponry and the crazy fourth wall breaking humor style that I love so much. The game is colorful, which you just don't see enough of nowadays. And it's fun. It strives to be fun above all else. And I loved it. I would have gone for the perfect gamer score, but they forced you to do way too much co-op multiplayer stuff to do it. And it's a whole lot of grinding. I'm not used to that. In a Ratchet & Clank game, you can pretty much have most of your weapons maxed out by the end of the game. Sunset Overdrive, I only had 2. By the time I did it, and I did all the side quests and everything. So I kind of don't like that they forced you to utilize the multiplayer because I don't have enough friends with Xbox, and the ones that do are not in the demographic for Sunset Overdrive, and I don't want to play with randoms.
Right.
But suffice to say, Sunset Overdrive, phenomenal game, on my list. Chris, you replaced Titanfall.
Mm-hmm.
No, let's do that one last. You replaced MLB The Show with another annual sports title.
Sports entertainment title.
Yeah.
WWE 2K14.
Which I can already see being another controversial choice by you. Your list reads like things that would really never be on anyone else's list.
Well,
Valiant Hearts, Legend of Korra, WWE, Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes.
I'm a busy man.
This is why it's you.
I'm a busy man. I don't have time to... I really wish I could play every game that comes out. But my time is limited.
I can barely play every game that comes out.
I know. You do way better because you don't sleep.
I don't sleep.
I know.
Sleep is for the weak, son. 3 a.m. bedtime, 9 a.m. wake up time. Get on my level.
God, I can't. But so my list is very skewed. I love the WWE games. I have pretty much every one that's ever been created going back from the Nintendo system.
He has made it a personal effort to buy through eBay and used game stores every single WWE game ever made.
Even if they're garbage.
Yeah, no, it's the collection aspect. Yeah. And I, of all people, can respect that.
So 2K14 is the first true next-gen version. This one, I picked up the one for the PS4 because the one for the PS3 is garbage.
And this one's less garbage.
It's less garbage. It's definitely a step back, though.
I feel like it's the same problem Madden came into in the PS3 360 generation,
yes.
where it debuted with less features, and it's almost like the cynical part of you just wants to see, well, clearly you're just leaving room to improve next year, and be like, hey, guys, we have this now.
That was actually the analogy I was going to make, is that it's very similar to that first year of Madden on the 360. Everything has been cut basically in half. Create a Wrestler has been neutered beyond repair.
Which is a shame because what we wanted to do.
The campaign, the 2 story campaigns, the Create a Wrestler campaign is fun. That's where I spent the majority of my time. The Showcase campaign I haven't touched yet, but I'm going to after I finish up the Create a Characters mode. But it's limited. There's only 2 campaigns in the Showcase mode. So
okay.
It's just smaller, but.
But for a huge wrestling fan such as yourself.
There's good in it. And I know a lot of people are not thrilled with it. I think there's enough good in it to make it on my list above the other games. It's definitely like a 7. Like a 7.5.
By default, on the fact that you only technically played, looking at this, 14 games in a year.
Yeah, 14 games with any sort of time committed to them.
All right, well, next up... Again, another game I hate to cut off because I've had it on this list since February. Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc for the Vita. I hate to do it. The game was so good. A mix of 999 and Virtue's Last Reward with a little Phoenix Wright courtroom drama. But I have to make way for what might be on many people's Game of the Year list, and might be a frontrunner for Game of the Year. The Wii U's golden gem of an exclusive, Bayonetta 2. Man, so good.
Yeah. I didn't play it.
I know you didn't, but I did.
It looks ridiculous.
Bayonetta 2, it's absurd. Don't play it for the storyline because you're just going to roll your eyes the whole time. But what makes this, it's another Platinum Games game. And the gameplay is so tight and precise that when you suck, it's because you did something wrong. And when you learn the patterns of the bosses and you're dodging and activating witch time and racking up a massive combo, like, it is one of the best feelings around. Like, I got shit for not playing on the hardest difficulty, and I can looking back, I can respect that because he said like certain genres demand to be played on hard difficulties. Like an action game, if you play on a lower difficulty, you can literally just button mash your way through, and it requires no skill.
Right.
And I love playing games on hard difficulty if I have the time investment. The next game I'm going to talk about is a perfect example of that. So I do fully intend to go back. I played it on 2-tier, and I need to play it on 3-tier because it's just so good. And it's got a New Game Plus mode, which unlocks... It's good. If you have a Wii U, Bayonetta 2 should definitely be in your library. And Chris... You got rid of Titanfall for what might be your Game of the Year.
It's probably going to be. It's Far Cry 4. I used an elephant to kill a honey badger. 10 out of 10.
Is that all you need?
Really. The thing I love about the Far Cry is they put you in this crazy world, and they kind of just like, hey, we should really stop the evil guy, but we also need to kill some honey badgers. Or
what about the birds that attack you? I heard they're bitches.
Fuck those eagles. They are.
So basically, you love the elephants. Have you gotten your wingsuit yet?
It sucks. It's so hard. It's so hard.
Okay, it's probably awesome. You just suck at it.
No. It is awesome, but it's hard because you can't hit the ground.
What about your grappling hook?
Grappling hook's fine. It's a little too overpowered.
Speaking of the wingsuit, and this is a tangent, you know what I really hope has a wingsuit? Just Cause 3.
Why wouldn't it? I'm surprised Just Cause 3 doesn't have a jetpack.
All right, anyway. So Far Cry 4. Now, what else did you like about it? Because it can't just all be about honey badgers and elephants.
It's basically Far Cry 3, which was already a great game. But
that's actually been one of the criticisms against it. But if you love Far Cry 3...
I guess. I mean, it's like knocking Arkham City because it's too much like Arkham. Yeah. I mean, Far Cry's got a great
formula.
I mean, really, if you like Far Cry 3, like I like Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4's got way more, and its story is less dumb than Far Cry 3.
And I kind of like the Himalaya setting better than the tropical setting.
Well, because it's more treacherous. Like there's mountains to fall off of. I mean, water creatures that are trying to kill you are less severe. I mean, there still are.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun. And I think that's
I love the villain in this game.
Far Cry games. Pagan Min is a way better villain than Voss.
But even Voss was a fun one too.
Yeah.
Far Cry games have been really stepping up their game and making memorable villains.
Exactly.
And Pagan Min looks like a Patrick Stewart, and I love it. Yeah. He totally does.
Kind of.
Go look at him again.
He's great.
All right, and then finally. This was a tough cut again. The 3DS, I lost Shovel Knight. And you know how much I love my Mega Man DuckTales inspired games.
Sure.
Shovel Knight got cut for another surprise game because I went in expecting nothing from this because I was like, the cynical part of me, it's Dragon Age Inquisition. And the cynical part of me was like, they just are releasing it now because they know if they release after Witcher 3, no one would give a shit.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're coming after Dragon Age 2, which was one of the biggest letdowns since Devil May Cry 2. And then, just like Devil May Cry, Part 3 comes out and reverses everything and becomes phenomenal. Like, this made me happy because BioWare has gotten so much crap in the past couple of years. And this has been like a resurgence for them. Dragon Age Inquisition is amazing. And I am playing on Nightmare mode, which is absurd. It forces you have to play every battle very tactically. And I'm 65 hours in, and I'm only level 13, and I'm not even... I have so much more to go. because I want to do everything. Like, I love this game so much. I'm addicted to it. I come home and I'm like, I have 2 exams tomorrow. I can play about 3 hours of Dragon Age and still be okay. I'm playing a mage. Dragon Age games are the only RPGs where I play a mage, if I have a choice. I usually play a paladin or some kind of tank character. Mages are my jam in this game. They're so much fun. They're so varied. I just got my specialization. I'm a knight enchanter, which is just, it's so much fun. Swinging spirit blades and infinite barriers and all kinds of stuff. And timing? Yeah, I know. This is the big month.
I know.
We had the most to talk about.
I know.
But man, Dragon Age, it's probably, looking at my list, it's hands down RPG of the year. And I'm not even done. I fully intend to have this done by the end of the game.
End of the year?
Yeah. Dragon Age Inquisition has been, that and Shadowmoor, I don't know what I count as the bigger surprise. Like, I don't. They're both such surprises to me in terms of the quality. I think maybe Shadow Mordor, because actually it might be Dragon Age, because it's not only a surprise, phenomenal game, but it came off the heels of such a terrible game.
I'm sure.
I don't know. We'll talk about it more in depth in our video game show, but yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition, hands down, a phenomenal RPG. I do not recommend the PS3 360 version. They're very gimped. I'm playing it on PS4 so we could capture video and stuff, and it's great. I also have the PC version, and if you have the rig for it, I recommend that one. But console version, it's smooth. The load times are good. There's no pop in at all, and I can just go on and on. Anyway, Dragon Age Inquisition. That about wraps it up. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
And this has been a long-ass video, but it's because it's a big month in games. NOLAnerdcast.
Out.
Peace.
Do the thing.